Hello my beautiful people, welcome back to my channel, welcome back to another episode of Shop My Stash Switch. And if you're new here to my channel, hi, my name is Eve and I love all things beauty. I've started my Shop My Stash series in January 2023. From filming my previous videos, I've decided that I'm going to keep the format where it's going to be 3 different parts to this video. In the first part of the video, I'm going to go through all the products and give you my speed reviews, what worked, what didn't, what I loved, what I'm going to be putting back in the stash, some things that I may be considering decluttering later on in the year, and some items I'm going to be keeping for another round. In the second portion of this video, you will see eyeshadow palette rankings, palettes that I selected for the past month rotation. And the third part of the video is going to be me shopping through my stash and selecting new items for the next month rotation. And if that sounds interesting to you, give this video a big thumb up. And if you haven't done that already, I invite you to subscribe to my channel. And without further ado, let's dive in. The basket of all the products from my last month rotation, which was a month of March. And then I also had this organizer with 8 eyeshadow palettes that I'm going to be ranking today. So I usually break down the products into the categories when I talk about them. However, how I established already in my previous video, I do have some products, they're permanently going to stay here for time being, because some of them, they are in my non-official project pan. I do want to finish them and forget about them. And some of them I am going to keep because if they're not in front of my face, I basically forget about them. So I need to use them. So this is a tinted moisturizer from Rare Beauty, and this e.l.f. Halo Glow is gonna stay. Both of these products are gonna stay. And this product, again, I rarely use complexion products like this, and if it's not in front of my face, I just forget to use it. Then I'm gonna keep both of these concealers. This is a Pretty Fresh hyaluronic concealer from ColourPop. This is in the shade Fair 20N. I'm trying to finish this up. Hopefully you will be seeing it in my empties in the next few months. And this is Bare Minerals Bare Skin concealer. I really like that one. Then I also have a primer from Smashbox. I'm really trying to finish this up, but it just feels like it lasts forever. I don't know, it's like one of those products, think you're using it, but the more you use it, the more is left in there. It's like, do you have one of those products that just seems like you're using it over and over and over and it just does not end? So then I have my Patrick Ta. Oh my god, this packaging is literally disgusting. I am working on this powder, and then I'm keeping both of these powders, Bare Minerals Bare Skin powder, and then a Physicians Formula, what is it called, Airbrush Impressed powder in shade Translucent. This is a really nice setting powder, but I'm trying to really work through all my Physicians Formula powders because the packaging is really bulky and I do not want to hold on to them anymore, even though the formulas are really nice. I actually did hit a pan on it, so that's a really nice accomplishment. And I'm also going to keep around this Super Shock shadow. This is in the shade Waddles from ColourPop. It's almost like that satin matte formula, and it's a very nice like mauve pinky tone, which is perfect for this season right now. So this is kind of like what I am into right now, all the mauves and pinks. So these are the products that are gonna stay currently. So now let's get into the rest of the products. I had 2 additional primers. This one is a Professional Pore Primer from Benefit. I really like it. It's a very nice smoothing and pore blurring primer. I've used this a good amount in the past month. However, I want to keep it for another rotation. And here I have Pore Gripping Primer from e.l.f. Really nice primer, hydrating, and grabs to your complexion products and helps them to last longer. I really enjoyed this, but I'm going to put this back and pick something else. Then I had an additional concealer here. This is Infallible from L'Oreal. This is a full coverage concealer. I had mine in the shade Ivory 330. Disregard the stain, you guys. I was just filming another video and this is a lip stain that just does not come off, which is a good thing, I guess. Very nice concealer that is not too brightening for me, but I think I'm gonna keep this for one more round. I really noticed that I need to hydrate my eye and let that moisture sink in before I apply this. Otherwise, it starts clumping. So I'm gonna keep this for one more round. Other than that, I really like the shade of it and I really like the formulation. The coverage does not budge throughout the day. Then I had selected 5 different foundations for the month of March. And I'm gonna start from this one, the CoverGirl Clean Matte BB Cream. This one formulated specifically for oily skin. I use this one in my sit down, get ready with me. If you guys saw this product in action, this is an excellent formula that nobody talks about anymore. It's been around for ages. And this is one of my favorite complexion products for my skin type. This is a very lightweight formulation, goes on skin super easily, gives you a really nice coverage, even though it says like BB cream and you would think it's very light coverage. It does build up also, gives you soft matte finish, looks super natural on skin, doesn't feel heavy, and it is transfer proof. Once it sets into your skin, into that soft matte finish, it doesn't transfer. You don't have to set it with a powder. It's an excellent product for warmer seasons. I can see through this container, but it feels very, very light, and I feel like I have very small amount left in here. I want to keep this again, but I might actually add this to this non-official project pan. We probably should make it official. What do you guys think? Do you think I should make that little basket, the separate basket of permanent items there, an official project pan? Because I feel like it's growing. Maybe I do that so I don't have to talk about it in every single shop my stash video, but this is definitely one of those formulas. If I run out of it, I will be repurchasing a new one. The foundation that I have on my skin today is this one from Essence, Pretty Natural Hydrating Formula. This is on the shade Neutral Vanilla. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I heard that this is being discontinued, and what a shame would that be if that is true, because this formula is so nice. It's hydrating, however it's not overly hydrating. It works perfectly for my combo oily skin, gives you a really nice coverage, also is a buildable formula. This shade Neutral Vanilla works for my complexion very, very well. I am a little bit self-tan today and also have a little bit of a bronzer going on, but this is that shade for me that works both for my self-tan self and then my palest self. So it's kind of like that universal shade right in the middle that fits at any time. So I'm gonna put that back into storage, but this served me really well this past month. Then I also had this CoverGirl Outlast Extreme Wear 3-in-1 foundation in the shade 810 Classic Ivory. This is a fabulous formula. This is a formula that is beautifully pigmented, however is also a thin formulation, like a high medium coverage to almost full. And this is also a buildable formula, wears beautifully throughout the day. One thing that I love about it is that it does give you that level of hydration. However, it wears really well with my combo oily skin. Doesn't make me super greasy, doesn't look cakey throughout the day. A little definitely goes a long way for me with this one. I also really love because it is 3-in-1, it technically has a concealer built into it. That high pigment covers all your redness, all your blemishes really, really well, but also goes on skin without a primer and wears really well without it throughout the day. And I'm a combo oily skin. You guys know I like my primers, and a lot of times I use not one but 2 primers on my face. With this, I feel like I don't need to use any primers, that just go directly on my skin, and it wears so well. This is also my really good shade match. I really, really like this formula, and I've used this foundation a good amount of times this past month. So I'm gonna put this back into storage and choose something else. Then I also had Anastasia Beverly Hills Luminous foundation. Mine is in the shade 140N. Also very, very beautiful foundation. Beautiful formula. What a beautiful formula. Nice and thin formula. Also gives you the beautiful hydration, beautiful coverage. If you are normal or drier skin type, you'll probably have more appreciation for this foundation because it gives you the most beautiful glowy finish to your skin. I am a combo oily skin. Unfortunately, I have to prime my face really properly with something that is more oil controlling, and then also set this with powder. However, if I do that, this foundation lasts on my skin a very good amount throughout the day, and that luminosity definitely comes through throughout the day. So I ended up using this foundation quite a good amount in the past month, so I'm gonna put this back in my storage and choose something else. The last foundation that I had here was Even Better Glow Light Reflecting Makeup Broad Spectrum SPF 15 from Clinique. This was in the shade CN02. It's a little bit lighter shade, definitely matches my palest complexion, but beautiful formula. It is a buildable coverage, but more of a light to medium. It does have a little bit of luminosity to it and has a hydrating feel. This is your hydrating skin tint, the formulations that went viral a few years ago, and every single brand kept launching their version. Clinique did it first. It's such a beautiful formula that nobody talks about. I also used this a decent amount of times, so I'm going to be putting this back in my storage. So I had two different bronzers selected. I had a cream formula from LYS Beauty. I had mine in the shade Motivate, and I wanted to show you guys how much I've used. This is a beautiful shade. I'm actually wearing this bronzer today. This is very creamy and emollient formula. Because it was my only cream bronzer that I picked for the last month, I pretty much ended up using it on a daily basis, and I've used a good amount of it. This is very pigmented formula, so you need a little bit of it. I've used this on camera a good amount of times if you wanted to see it in action. I won't be able to use it in summer because of how hydrating and emollient this product is, so I want to keep it for another round for month of April. Then I had this Sun Bomb Matte Bronzer from Essence, and this was in the shade 01 Natural. So far, guys, this lid is in place. Every time I open the packaging, I almost need to hold my breath because this packaging is very, very flimsy, and you use it like a few times and the lid breaks literally every single time. Even though this says matte formula, I really feel like it gives you more of a natural finish than matte. I don't know if you feel the same way like I do about this bronzer, but I've had this bronzer many times before I even had my YouTube channel, and I feel like they've changed this formula. This is not the same formula that they used to have. I don't know, something is different about it. I could be wrong, but it just feels different. So this one starts getting hard pan, and my previous ones never used to do that. It still, however, works, and I love how I can use both smaller and larger brushes when I bronze my face. So I'm gonna keep this around and continue using this. And then here I have a setting spray. This was the only one that I selected, a Double Duty Beauty by Tarte. I'm gonna keep this because the packaging also cracked, like this cap cracked. I actually want to use this up before I use something else, and I think I'm like half through this bottle already, if not like 2/3 in. Now we're in the season where I'm using setting sprays a little bit more often than I used to in winter months. I'm actually going to add this to that same basket that's gonna permanently stay. I want to use this product up. But overall, this is a very nice setting spray. I do feel like it does help with longevity of my makeup throughout the day. So this is another powder that actually is permanently staying here. This is by Tarte. This is Shape Tape Setting Powder. This is an excellent powder. There's thin, and it is very long lasting. It's smoothing, and it's a little bit brightening. I've had this for some time, and I really need to use this up, so it's actually also going to that main basket. I had two different highlighters selected. I had an Extra Dimension Skin Finish and the shade Whisper of Guilt. This is like a beautiful gold shade. Very, very pretty highlighter with a gold hint. Fabulous formula, by the way. Beautiful highlighter, very smooth, very bright, also buildable formula. You can definitely sheer it out, but generally it does give you that beautiful bright effect. I've used this a lot in the past month, so I'm gonna give this a break. And then I had ColourPop Flexitarian Super Shock Cheek. It does pick up with a brush beautifully. I would normally use it with this large fan brush, and it would just go on skin very, very smooth. I love this so much. Even though I use this a good amount, however, I'm still gonna keep this highlighter for another round because it is a cream formula. It does have a shorter shelf life, so I really need to start using it a little bit more often, but I'm definitely gonna be picking more highlighters. I had two single blushes selected. This one is from Tarte, and this is a Super Shock Cheek in the shade Between the Sheets. This one has a huge pan, and I've used it quite a few times. However, not enough to finish this product. This would literally last me forever. So this is gonna stay, and I'm gonna put this on in my non-official project pan basket. I think I'm gonna make it official. I'm telling you guys. And this is an Amazonian Clay blush in the shade Captivating. This blush doesn't swatch well, but it has a beautiful, beautiful color of like pinky mauve tone, flattering, perfect for spring. So I am going to be putting this back this time. However, this blush is so firmly pressed that would literally last me of 10 of my lifetimes. Then I also had this palette selected from NARS. This is a face palette. So it has 3 blushes, bronzer, and these eyeshadows. I've used eyeshadows a few times, and I've used the Complexion products many times. The bronzer is actually very beautiful. It's a Laguna bronzer that's very neutral in tone. It does have a little bit of luminosity to it. Beautiful formula. I used the shade Luster the most. It does have like the coral golden shift to it. And then this shade Orgasm is absolutely beautiful. It has this like candy pink tone with a gold shift to it. Absolutely stunning. This mauve tone is not my favorite for some reason. It didn't play well with my undertone of my skin. I used this palette a good amount and I refreshed my memories of this and see if the quality is still there. So I'm going to be putting this back in my storage and picking a different face palette this time. Now let's get into the fun portion and rank those eyeshadow palettes. And on spot number 8, I have Attraction palette from Lamora brand. I've purchased this palette from Amazon and it looked like a Natasha Denona's very famous eyeshadow palette. Generally, I do not tend to reach for cool tone eyeshadow. This palette has 4 matte shades and they tend to fall into that neutral and a little bit cooler undertone category. Once you have them blended into your eyes, they definitely look a little bit cooler. This shade looks like it's a true neutral brown in the pan. Once you start blending it onto your eyes, it actually looks quite cool, almost like a gray tone and black leaning. And then the rest of the shades are shimmers. The formulas seem to be very straightforward shimmers and mattes. So there are no any type of unique or special formulas here in this palette. Didn't have trouble with blending anything, even though there's a variety of shimmers. There's a rosy shimmer here, there's a silver, gold, champagne, a little bit more of the bronzy chocolate tone shimmer. However, they're more on that like thin consistency. They're still beautiful, however they're more on that thinner consistency. I didn't set my expectations too high on this palette. However, I really thought they would be a little bit creamier, maybe a little bit more impactful. This is generally a very nice day wear palette, and if you like a little bit more modest looks, the ones that are not very pigmented or easier formulas to work with, like lighter formulas, you may enjoy this. This is not a bad quality eyeshadow palette by all means, but because it is more on that cooler tone, I didn't reach for it that much. On spot number 7, I ended up putting Garden Variety from ColourPop. This is a super fun spring palette, definitely fits into the season. However, the reason why this ended up towards the end of my ranking today is because this is not the formula that up the high standards that we know from ColourPop. Regardless of what I'm about to say, all these shades perform on the eyes beautifully. They blend beautifully, they apply beautifully, they do build up. You do need to put a little bit of effort to build them up, but they do stick to your eyelids. But some of these shades are more textured. There's a ton of fallout when you pick them up, especially the ones that have micro glitter in them. And these colorful shimmer shades, they're more on the thinner side. So if you really wanted to build up the pigment on your eyelids, you really need to either use a stickier base, which that would be my best recommendation, or do several layers and probably use your finger for. This shade is beautiful. This is a Super Shock, but I also feel like it's not the typical Super Shock. It's not like the best Super Shock I've ever tried. I do have few Super Shock shadows like singles in my collection, and they're a little bit more impactful. This one is beautiful, but it's more of like your topper shade. The simple mattes that are here, they're beautiful, they perform, they blend really well. I put this on number 7 spot because the quality is kind of lacking a little bit, but it's still workable. But the color story I love a lot. On a spot number 6, I do have a palette from ColourPop again, Sonic Bloom. This is such a beautiful color story. I love all these shades. I love this color story. I love the formula. This palette is much better quality than the one that I just spoke about. It is definitely more consistent. The reason why I'm ranking it towards the end again is because when I saw these bright colors, I really thought it would be a good idea to use them for spring. However, when I started applying them on my eyes, I haven't used this palette in a while. I clearly completely forgot what it looked like on my eyes before, but this color story runs more bold, more grungy. Whenever you use this side of the palette, you get completely grungy looks, and you would think that these colors would give you lighter looks. However, they're so bold and pigmented that it is totally a full palette for me. I enjoyed the looks that I created. However, they were not fitting into the spring vibe that's happening right now. I like this palette a lot, but I will be revisiting it in the fall and winter. On the spot number 5, I do have Oldie But Goodie. This is a soft glam palette from Anastasia Beverly Hills. amazing ABH formula that we already know and love. This is just a classic formula of an eyeshadow. The formula just has no issues with blending or building up or wearing. Shimmers are beautiful, mattes are beautiful, but I completely forgot how much I enjoy smooth shimmers. We're so spoiled these days with shimmers. They are so bright and bold and out there in your face. These are so smooth and lovely. The reason why I ranked this midway is because I put this palette in the rotation with some really heavy contenders. They're coming up next. On the spot number 4, I placed a chocolate brown from Huda Beauty. It's a smaller and very neutral palette. When Huda Beauty does her formulas right, she knocks it out of the park. To my opinion, this chocolate brown eyeshadow palette is one of those that is very consistent. I really enjoy the mattes. They're beautiful, and for spring I thought they were really perfect because there is a light pink undertone to all the mattes here. There's a hint of a warmness to them, like coral and pink tone, and I just find those tones very flattering. And some of these shimmers are just so beautiful, especially the lighter tones. They have this complexity to them. They are almost like multi-dimensional. They are not multi-chromes or dual-chromes by all means, but they are multi-dimensional. Even when you look at these shimmers up close, you definitely see different colors of sparkles in them. On a spot number 3, I have an avocado toast eyeshadow palette from BH Cosmetics. What a fun palette. I really love that there is a little bit of neutrality to this palette, and this shade, I revisited this shade. This palette is considerably new to me, and it's primarily green, and this is definitely not the color that I would wear on a daily basis, even though I do love my greens, but I really like to mix my greens with neutrals. And I really like that this palette has definitely a lot of greens, but also good bunch of neutral shades. The shimmers are absolutely outstanding, absolutely outstanding. I actually wore a look in one of my previous videos with this palette, and I also wore that entire makeup for the entire day. I went grocery shopping that day, I went to Ulta, and literally everywhere I went, girls were complimenting me and saying how beautiful that eyeshadow was. And I had this green shade on my lid, and right now I'm wearing this shade on my brow bone because it's just such a beautiful, smooth formula. You just want to use it all over again. And I rediscovered this yellow pastel shade. I just use this all over my lid, and I use this shade in my crease. It kind of just build up the frame for that yellow lid that I had. And I put my brown Fenty liquid eyeliner and mascara, and I was good to go. And I enjoyed that look so much. I thought it was just so perfect for spring, and also was extremely easy to make. So amazing formula, both mattes and shimmers. And the good bonus is that this palette is back in stock on BH Cosmetics website if you still wanted it. If you've seen my Get Ready With Me video, you know what's coming in this spot number 2 and 1, and it's a really heavy battle. So this is a moment. I have 2 palettes left, obviously, and you know exactly what those are. I want you to pause this video and leave me your comment. Is it gonna be a Natasha Denona, a retro, or Rose Quartz by Huda Beauty that is gonna be on number 1 spot? It'll be a fun one, and I'll give you a moment to do that. So now let me finally do the reveal, and the palette that took a 2nd spot is the Retro by Natasha Denona. This palette is considerably new to me, and I have been gladly playing with this and creating some looks. This is an exceptional Natasha Denona formula. Absolutely gorgeous. All the shades are absolutely stunning. There are some shimmer differences here. We have a little bit brighter shimmers, which I'm happy about, and some they're a little bit more subtle. The reason why it's on the 2nd spot is because it's very monochromatic eyeshadow palette, and it's pretty much one trick pony for me in a way. You can differentiate the looks a little bit here, but for most part, all the looks come out in this very monochromatic scheme what you actually see here. And this is not a surprise. You know right away what you're getting yourself into with this palette. I find these tones very flattering. I've talked about one of my previous videos where I was ranking all my Nabla eyeshadow palettes that I really love my burgundies and like all these mauve tones. I find them very neutral. I learned to love them as much as I love my other brown neutral tones, and I think that they're very flattering on so many different skin tones. So I look at this palette as a everyday palette, and the formula cannot be beat because it's just so easy to work with. But nevertheless, this ended up on the second spot. So of course you already figured it out which palette is on number 1. This is Rose Quartz from Huda Beauty. This palette is on my eyes today also because I just couldn't hold myself. I initially thought I would wear a different palette for you just for funsies, but I could not. I could just not hold myself back from using this palette. This was by far the most used palette in the past month. This is generally one of my most favorite palettes out of my entire collection. I just want to use this palette over and over. Just do not get tired from this. It is so perfect for winter. It is so perfect for spring. I posted more details on this look on my Instagram if you wanted to see which shades I mix. I just love this formula, and the mattes are beautiful. It's just so easy to work with. They blend so effortlessly. They build up. You can just control intensity of how much depth you want, how much pigment you want on your eyes. Shades are just very easy to mix and match. They blend into each other so effortlessly, and I really love these two shades. This shade is a beautiful pink. It has that white base. Look how nice and bright that is. This pink shade is so unique and literally one of the most beautiful in my entire collection of pinks. And then the shimmers in this palette are like out of this world gorgeous. Today I mixed 3 different ones on my lid and I just can't get over them, how beautiful they are. My love for this palette is endless. And now that we're done with the eyeshadow palette ranking, let's go shopping and choose more products for my next month rotation. So for my primers and setting sprays, I think I'm gonna pick, let's grab this Smashbox primer. This is a primer and a setting spray or finishing spray. I remember really liking this. It does have a slight gripping effect, so I want to put this one in the rotation. Then I'm also gonna pick something from here. I think I want to put this marshmallow primer this time because I want to use this up. There's a little bit left and I really love this formula. I also want to pick few from my higher end ones. Let's do this oil and shine controlling from Smashbox as well. And then I think I want to do maybe this Dermablend one. This is a gripping jelly primer. I think I'm going to grab this one too. For my affordable foundations drawer, I think I'm going to pick this concealer. This is a Wet n Wild Incognito concealer. This is a little bit brightening shade for me, but I want to see if I can still use it before I really start tanning seriously before summer. So from the complexion products, I think I'm gonna grab this L'Oreal Infallible one. I haven't used this in a while. My shade is 405. This is my really good match. And I also think maybe I'll grab this tinted hydrator from Wet n Wild. I haven't used this in a while. Out of my high-end complexion product drawer, I think I'm gonna pick this concealer. I haven't used this in a while. Born This Way from Too Faced. From foundations, I think I might pick, I've used this one last time. Let me get the Charlotte Tilbury Beautiful Skin one. I haven't tried this in a while. I also think I'm gonna pick this one by Foundation. It's a matte formula from It Cosmetics. Let's see, maybe I should grab this Clinique one too. This is a really nice thin formula. From my powder drawer this time, I think I'm gonna grab a few more things. I'm thinking to do the LYS Beauty Powder. This is in the shade Resilient. And I'm gonna grab this powder from Uoma Beauty. This is considerably new powder that nobody's talking about. So for my bronzers and blushes, I really need to pick a few items here. It's a little bit of a cluster here, so let me go pick out and I'm going to show you what I chose. Okay, so I selected this bronzer from Nabla. This is in the shade Ombre. This Marc Jacobs one. This was practically new, so I'm going to put that one in. And then I have 2 blushes. That is After All by ColourPop. This is in the shade Around the World. Considerably new blush to me, but just such a beautiful baby pink. And then I also decided to put this Anastasia Beverly Hills Trio in Peachy Love. Orangey coral and mauve shades. Perfect for spring. I think I'm gonna go with the Rimmel Highlight because this is basically one of my very few gold highlighters. And now we're here in my face palette drawer, and I think I'm gonna go with, let me see, I haven't used one of these Benefits one in a while, so let me see which one I'm gonna use. I think I'm gonna do the mauve and orange. So I do have a variety of blushes, and then there's additional bronzer and this beautiful cookie highlighter that's a little bit more of like that champagne-y kind of shift. So I'm gonna stick with that. So for my storage shelves that you normally see behind me when I film, I picked these 3 palettes. I feel like these are the color stories that are different from each other and yet they're still neutral, and I think they would be perfect for spring. This is another drawer where I keep my higher end palettes. This is the Patrick Ta Major Dimensions palette. I really like it, and I think it's getting warm enough to pull this palette out. Also thinking to do something a little bit more colorful. Maybe I would do this one, by Lunar Beauty. I think this is beautiful and colorful. I really want to play out maybe with that green and yellow tones, and it has beautiful shimmers. And I recently have been thinking about this palette, the Gingerbread Extra Spicy. This is the only palette that I have from Too Faced that's in a tin packaging, and I know they just recently launched a new one, the Italian Spritz, but I resisted that palette so hard, even though that palette story is so cute. So I think maybe I will pull out this one. Okay, now I'm at 6 palettes and I need to pick 2 more. Something colorful. I already have neutrals, so maybe I will play with this one, Allure 3. I really love this palette. It's just such a perfect palette for spring. I'm gonna pull this out, and I'm thinking about something colorful. Maybe I dig into this Magic Mini by Juvia's. Yeah, I think so. Look at these beautiful lilacs and golds and pinks. Yeah, I'm excited. Yep, I'm gonna keep this one. And now everything beautifully fits into this organizer for me. So these are the products that I have selected for my next month rotation for the month of April for Shop My Stash. Let me know in the comments below which eyeshadow palette you would like me to use for my sit down, chit chat, and get ready with me video. And also leave me your questions, anything you would like me to talk about or any specific topic. I would love to include them in my next chit chatty, sit down, get ready with me video. If you enjoyed this video, give this a big thumb up, and if you're not yet a subscriber, I invite you to do so before you leave today. Thanks so much for watching and hanging out with me today, and I will see you in my next videos. Bye.